My name's Linda Henderson. I'm the Executive Director of Stonegate Arts and Education Center. And today on our podcast, we're focusing on mental health as part of the series on celebrating Public Health Week, which is the week is April 7th. And today we have several guests with us to talk about mental health. And I'm going to have each introduce themselves and tell a little bit about themselves. So Dr. Keesler.
Thank you, Linda. My name is John Keesler. I'm an associate professor at Indiana University School of Social Work and a resident of Lawrence County.
My name is Skylar Newhouse, and I am a social work student at IU in the master's program and a practicum student with Lawrence County Youth Mental Health.
I'm Jamie Bennett, also a student of IU School of Social Work for my master's program and also participating in the practicum for Lawrence County Youth Mental Health.
Very good. Today, as I said, we're focusing on mental health and what is mental health and why is it important? Well, we're going to let the expert explain that to us. Dr. Keesler, would you start out and tell us about why mental health is important?
Thanks, Linda. Yeah, mental health refers to your psychological or your mental well-being, including social aspects, your emotional wellness. Oftentimes, folks think about mental illness, but I think it's important to speak more globally around mental health and really recognizing that as an important part of overall well-being. So, you go to your doctor for physical care and physical health. We need to think very similarly about mental health. And again, that refers to your thoughts, your emotions, your behaviors, and so that other dimension of well-being that we oftentimes don't talk about.
So as a community, what are some things we can do to promote mental health or promote people being healthy with regards to their mental health?
So I think promoting mental health it can be achieved through a number of strategies. I think one thing that we're good with in rural communities is that sense of community. We know that when folks are connected with others, that is a huge predictor of people's mental health and well-being. Even though sometimes people can stress us out and relationships can be challenging, it's important to be well connected with others because we're social creatures. We need each other to get our needs met. The other thing is recognizing our language, how we talk about things, particularly around mental illness and substance use, can really impact people's well-being. So we oftentimes refer to stigma around mental health, and so those are negative terms or labels, things that we use to put people down or judge them or sort of separate them from us because of differences in how they're thinking about things, their emotions, or even their behaviors. So sense of community is important, language is important, and being mindful of your overall well-being. What are we doing community-wide? What are we doing in our family systems? What are we doing in our schools around promoting well-being? So some of these things, can look differently depending on the context. So because a lot of students aren't playing on the playgrounds anymore, they're more into their iPhones. We need to think about social emotional well-being, and that's why schools are, integrating curriculum around helping students recognize what their emotions are, how to cope with difficult situations. We have programming now for families as well, whether that's through the judicial system with programs or through individual private practitioners. We have programs available for parents to learn how to promote mental health and well-being in their own family system. Community-wide, we have a lot of events that support well-being, and so we need to take advantage of those. But there's a lot of things that we can do, again, around creating a sense of community and belonging, our language, not stigmatizing people, and doing the things that bring us joy, whether that's through our schools or communities, in nature, going for a hike at Spring Mills, going down to French Lick, etc. Things that bring us joy are important parts of our lives, as well as spirituality. We know there's lots of churches here, there's lots of congregations. Finding a place to call home can be really an important part of your well-being as well.
Very good. About 2 years ago, John, you had a brainstorm or an idea to create a pilot to focus on mental health for rural youth. And we launched a pilot in the community. Would you like to tell us a little bit about the Rural Youth Mental Health Project, and we'll let our grad students share more about their experience with it.
Yeah, so I have to give credit to a former student of mine who is now a licensed clinical social worker, Sarah Farmer. She is a practitioner, and she recognized that we needed to do more, particularly in our rural communities, around kids' mental health. And that certainly is a passion of hers. So through collaboration, leveraging our collective relationships, working with Families Forever here in Lawrence County, as well as, our local city and county officials to leverage funding, we were able to make this project come alive. Right now, it's really focused in Mitchell Community Schools, and it's about partnering with the School of Social Work to bring in graduate students, to provide them with specialized training and supervision that they'll talk about, to really get into the schools and provide students with access to activities and environments and therapy to really promote their well-being. But again, this is another example of how we can, through community and collaboration, really address mental health needs. So Skylar, would you like to talk more about the Lawrence County Youth Mental Health Project?
Yeah. So it's a really great program. I've been here since August. So we're contracted through Families Forever. As part of our master's program in our last year, we have to have an internship. And so what we do is we go into the Mitchell schools, Burris, Hatfield, and then I'm in the junior high right now as well. And we provide individualized services referred by the counselors. It's a really great program. So I do play-based therapy in the elementary schools. I do some groups, and Jamie can kind of talk about that as well. And some play-based therapy. It's really been a cool opportunity. Jamie, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, I think that for me, coming from, I have a background in child welfare, and so I see all of these, deficits from needing that mental health connection and just not really being able to get it all of the time, whether that's a lack of providers, lack of transportation. And this program has been incredible. Doing services in the school has really been able to help us make those connections with parents, because they, have those connections pre-existing with the school, so they trust the school and then can trust us to come in. And then it also just takes away so many barriers of, the transportation, where the kids are at, how they are coming. They have their routine at school already. And so I've seen a lot of great work happening, and it is a really creative way to provide the services that these families have been needing.
With that, what are some of the challenges you see kids struggling with regards to mental health? What are some issues or challenges?
Yeah, a lot. I think just behavioral challenges as a whole is what kind of teachers and parents would say. And I think that we've often talked about the amount of anxiety, specifically since COVID has happened, social anxiety, generalized anxiety, and just some of these kids' ability to regulate their own bodies to help keep themselves calm and kind of know the thoughts and feelings that are going through their head and how to really what to do with those things. So a lot of self-regulation, a lot of anxiety.
I started working a lot more closely with children during the pandemic, and just seeing that anxiety since the pandemic in children has been just wild. I think it's huge for them to be able to have this space. When we're doing play-based therapy, it's based on the idea that a child's most basic form of communication is play. They don't have the words to verbalize what they're feeling inside them, and they might not even know what this feeling is. And so to be able to see them kind of work through whatever trauma they're feeling, whatever anxiety, those big emotions that they have, to see them work through that through play has been really cool. Even just these really big emotions that you would think you would only see in like an adult, these kindergartners, expressing this intense anxiety and even like depression. Like it's intense to see the struggles that some of these kids are going through, and to be able to hold that safe space for them where they can work through that has been really amazing.
What do you think families can do to support the mental health of their children? Are there strategies or things that you would suggest for parents or caregivers?
I think a lot of it is like building those coping skills. So a lot of what we do is like coping skill exploration, grounding and stabilization activities like breathing and I don't know, meditation. Just finding what is a good outlet for these children. I don't know, Jamie. What do you think?
I think I'm seeing a lot of parents wanting to communicate. They don't know what their child could need for their anxiety, but they want to. They want to be there for their child. They want to get those services, and they're just not quite sure what's available. And so I think a lot of it for us has been communicating, this is what we can do, this is what we do, this is working really well for your child. And so a lot of it just comes down to that relationship that you build with the families. I think a lot of it is asking questions.
So do you think the program is well received by the parents of the kids that you're serving? Do you interact with the parents much? Or?
Yeah, so we do parent coaching sessions too, which is where we sit down with the parents and we kind of, I don't know, it's definitely a weird dynamic because like I'm 22, I don't have kids, I don't have that experience, but it's really nice to, sit down with the parents and kind of, I have this education on child development and then in social work, and they have, the firsthand experience of being an adult. So how can we merge those two things and bring those two things together? A lot of that. So it's really nice to sit down with the parents, talk to them on the phone and kind of, have that conversation of like, what's going on at home? What can we do to provide a more inclusive environment for your child? A lot of that for me has looked like, how do we de-escalate a child who is, having these really big emotions? So like, I don't know, for example, like finding parenting strategies like just really validating and supporting your child and their emotions. Yeah.
So Skylar, you were talking a bit about a safe place or a safe space. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that means, and what does that look like in school, and is there anything that parents can do to sort of replicate that in the home environment?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that at the core, what children need is safety, to feel safe and to feel like, a lot of children, when they're pushing boundaries or when they're, they're trying to find, where are those walls? Where am I safe? Where can I feel safe? And so I think that having an environment where these children feel safe, like they will be cared for, they will be nurtured, loved, supported, that their feelings will be heard and seen, I think that's huge, and that their needs are going to be met. I think that's huge in helping a child feel safe and like they can express their emotions in a healthy way, in a non-judgmental, environment. And I think that is really huge for just a child's development to be able to have that.
Okay. Another question I have, just to dig a little bit deeper, maybe Jamie, you can take this question for me, is that you're working with children, loved ones of adults who might be really protective of their children. They might be a little hesitant about, do I want my kid to be working with a social work student or a social worker or a therapist? Can you tell us a little bit more about the training that you receive so that you can be confident and competent in this role, and sort of reassure parents that you are the right person to do the work?
Yeah, I think that, wow. So for our training specifically, we have worked with Sarah Farmer, who you mentioned, who's a licensed clinical social worker. And we specifically trained with her for, I want to say a month and a half, at least about 6 weeks before even entering the school to have these conversations. So we talked about different therapy skills. We talked about different modalities. If a child is in the playroom and is really struggling with those behaviors, throwing chairs, yelling, screaming, trying to run, how do you handle that? And so with those 6 weeks, we specifically focused on building not only our confidence, but kind of our toolbox for these kids. And so when it comes to talking to the parents, I've personally just kind of sided with transparency and kind of like Skylar said, 22 don't have kids. We are not experts in these children. The parents are, and really leaning into that, we see you, we see that you're doing your best. We see that you've, maybe struggled with these kids' behaviors on your own in your own home. How can we help you? It's not just, oh, your kid's having a hard time in the classroom, so we're just going to pull them and, talk to them for 30 minutes. It's, here's what we do, here's how we do it. What would you want to see? What does progress look like for you? And how can we support you as a parent? And I think that even with, me coming in and not being able to say, I have 20 years of experience and this is going to work and it'll be great, they almost see that we are sometimes just as nervous as they are. What if it doesn't work? And that almost helps them to see when results are starting to happen. It's not just because I've been here for 20 years and I've been working, it's because their kids doing the work and they're doing the work. And I think that there really is something different about that for parents.
Yeah, and I think it's really beautiful to see that just that growth and that I don't know, like with play-based therapy, just seeing them work through what they're feeling inside through play. And maybe it's sensory play. Maybe it's like for 30 minutes a week, they get to take a break from class and just draw for 30 minutes. And that for them is like their way of getting out all of their anxiety onto paper, or being able to play with a fidget for 30 minutes or something like that. Being able to work through their anxiety and regulate their emotions is so powerful. Yeah, and so with that, we have supervision with Sarah every week. We meet with her individually for an hour every week, 2 hours as a group with Lily. And Lily Norris is our other, she works with Sarah, and she kind of supervises us too. And they're great. So we kind of talk about how our caseload is. We go through cases and kind of talk about best practice, make sure we are providing the most as great a services as we can. And then on top of that, we have our classes. So I've been in the MSW program for a year now, and then I had my bachelor's before that in social work. So yeah, that's been super foundational in this experience.
Dr. Keesler, this pilot project helps alleviate the shortage of social workers and services into rural communities. And that was, I think, some of the thinking behind creating this pilot. You want to speak a little bit about the shortage of services for mental health in southern Indiana?
Yeah, there is a huge shortage, Linda, of providers when it comes to mental health, not only in just southern Indiana, but statewide. We have a lack of providers. And so this is one initiative that we are doing and engaging with to try and address that, to fill the gap. We know that increasingly people are seeking support and needing help for their mental health and well-being. And so this is one way of training the next generation, of getting them in the communities to provide services to others, while also learning and perfecting their skill set to then go out and be employed as the next generation of licensed practitioners. I think one of the things that we can talk about as well is what does it take? Many people don't think about going to college or university, and that's okay. That's okay. We need people to do trade skills. We need those good plumbers and electricians. We need those farmers. But simultaneously, we also need people to get credentials. And social work is really a broad field. And people can get a bachelor's degree in social work or a master's degree, and even now a doctorate in social work or a PhD, which is more research focused. But a bachelor's degree takes 4 years, and if you have your bachelor's in social work, you can go into an advanced standing social work program at the graduate level, which takes about a year. We're making some changes at IU to make it more accessible to folks. But really, what do social workers do? They work with people and they work with systems. That could be schools, that could be communities, that could be families. It could be, at the county or state level even, or even national. They get a broad training so that they can do diverse jobs, including anything from individualized therapy and practice to research and policy development. Really, it's a foundational degree to help them open up a world that they might not have known. There's, for those that may be concerned about cost, there's 21st Century Scholars, there's scholarships, there's grants and loans, et cetera, to help make those pathways more accessible to folks. We even have part-time programs for people that might be working full-time or have families. But definitely we need more practitioners. Again, this is just one way that we're helping to address that. But if other people are interested in learning more about social work, we invite them to talk to us. If they see us in the community, reach out to us, or contact their local university or college to learn more. Because it can be a very rewarding job. And so if we can just talk for maybe a minute or two about one of your success stories and what it's been like.
You want me to go first? Okay. I think for me, I have my bachelor's in social work as well, and graduated in 21. And I took a break for a while. I wasn't sure if I wanted to pursue my master's, and so I worked for 4 years and then have come back for the 1-year program. And I for a long time I wasn't sure that I wanted to work with children. I was really adult centered and kind of thinking more about those larger systems that you had talked about. And when I came to this practicum and really started to work with children, I had my own doubts about it. Is this going to work? Will the child accept what we're doing? Will they participate? Kind of like you would with adult therapy. Sometimes it doesn't work the way you want it to. And it has been so incredible to see kind of the hard work that this child does in the room to work out their frustrations, their emotions. I think one of my first and favorite examples that, oh, this is working, was a child who had lost their grandparent. And that's why they were coming to see me, is because they were just sad all the time. And they would tell me, when I asked, where's the sadness in your body, they said it's everywhere. And this had been going on for over a year for them. They just couldn't stop thinking about it. And about 5-6 months in, before winter break, I asked them, a check-in, how are you doing? How are you feeling? And they said, it's okay to be sad, but I'm not as sad anymore. I still miss them, but that's okay. And they didn't feel the sadness in their whole body. And for a child to say that and to understand that grief is a normal thing that happens, and their brain processed that almost for them is incredible. And so for me, that's one of my favorite stories of this works. It is so helpful in ways that you as an adult sometimes don't understand. And I think that it has really formed the way that I want to continue to practice with my master's. And it's just been so cool.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that experience and speak to that. I think a really cool thing about play-based therapy, sometimes it's hard to connect the dots, in the beginning. Where is this leading? Where is this child getting the therapeutic environment they need? And to see some of that trauma that maybe the parents, maybe the school staff don't even know is there come to the surface through their play. It's very directed by the child, and very, they will get what they need from it, and they will direct you and tell you what they need through their behavior. That's how they communicate. And so for me, I've always had a huge passion for working with kids, but getting to do it on this individual level. And Sarah Farmer, she is our field instructor. She's been amazing in letting us explore our passions and kind of like, what do you guys want out of this opportunity, which has been really cool. And so, she's been very supportive in letting us explore what we are interested in. I particularly have a big interest in working with adolescents. And so we got into the junior high, and now I have some teen clients that I work with, which has been amazing. I think my first success story, kind of to speak to what Jamie was saying, I did a group motion regulation with fourth grade boys. I think it was about like 7 or 8 boys in the group. And by the end of it, they were like, when are we going to do another emotion group? When are we going to, Mr. Schuyler, we want to do another emotion group. Please, we want to go back. And so to have these fourth grade boys who, these fourth grade boys kind of be begging for this group where we sit and we talk about our emotions the whole time, to have them be like, when are we going to go back? That's really cool to see that, and to see that they feel supported in that environment. They want to talk about their emotions, and they want to be a part of that. They feel validated, they feel heard, and also like meeting them where they're at. So that's been really cool too, to really meet these kids where they are at in their journey with mental health has been amazing. And to see a lot of that, with other clients, to see their trauma come to the surface, and to watch them work through that and really process that in a safe environment, this harmful trauma that really carries a weight with them, in a safe room, to be able to work through that and feel safe while they're processing that, has been amazing. So that's just the beauty of this experience. It's been really cool. Yeah.
That's great.
I think one of the things that we do need to acknowledge too is our collaboration with the schools. Is that they are working with us. They're providing a space for the play therapy rooms. They're collaborating with the in-house counselor or advisors to identify students that might benefit from additional supports. Again, from the School of Social Work providing students, and Sarah as an independent practitioner providing supervision and training, Families Forever being the host organization in Lawrence County, funding from the city and county to provide students with stipends, and to pay Sarah to provide the training and supervision. Again, here is an excellent example of how collaboratively we can help address mental health in our community.
And the funding from the county and the city is the opioid settlement money. And it's a good use of that opioid settlement money to go towards this project. So.
Yeah, not only are we better addressing the mental health needs of our kids, we're supporting our schools, and we're also supporting the next generation of professional practitioners in their development.
This initiative has gotten some recognition, and it will be expanding into other counties or schools next year. You want to speak to that, Dr. Keesler?
Yeah, so because of our success here, and we've used some of our information to leverage additional funding from other sources. And so Families Forever was awarded a state-level grant, and part of that grant is to expand this project not only in Lawrence County, but also into our neighboring Greene County. So we have an opportunity to now build off of our current success and have an impact beyond Lawrence County.
Very good, very good. Any last thoughts before we close out this podcast?
I don't think so.
I don't have anything.
Okay. I'd like to
Very good.
thank you all for participating in this podcast, and this concludes our podcast on mental health in Lawrence County. Thank you.